Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
All right, Pete, welcome back. Great to have you.
Ethan, it's always a pleasure.
Today is a very big day.
And why is that?
We both know why, because we have now both seen Matrix Resurrections. Oh,
it's a
Matrix. We've gotten it wrong.
It's reloaded, then revolving,
it's reloaded,
and then revolutions.
Yes.
What other R words?
It is Resurrections, back from the dead after 18 years.
Oh God, 18 years. Good God.
I know. You and I, huge sci-fi fans. I'm sure that we could each tell stories about how gaga we were over the original Matrix, which was...
Can I tell you that I watched this in the theater, which, as a younger student at the time who didn't have money to be frivolously throwing around, I saw this in the theater maybe 6 times, maybe 7 times.
Whoa.
It was the first DVD I ever bought.
Yeah.
It was also, it was the first movie that I bought on DVD. And I had memorized the lines that Morpheus and Neo use in their little dojo training scene. That's how much I watched that movie. That's how much I loved that movie.
I have to say, that makes you uniquely qualified to give me your impressions of Resurrections.
Maybe not.
From how excited you were after you heard this was coming out to your level of happiness after you saw it. I assume you only saw it once and not 6 more times.
I only saw it once. I did not see it 5 more times. Wasn't my intention to watch it that many times. So I must caveat that Keanu Reeves for me is one of those... He's one of 2 actors who, no matter what the movie's in, I'm going to watch it unless it's not my genre. And even if it's not my genre, I'm going to watch it. And
Can I
only
guess
actor...
who the other is? Can I guess who it is?
Go. I don't think you'll get it because I don't think it's even in your lexicon of actors at the moment.
Oh, okay, tell me.
Nicolas Cage.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it sounds crazy, but I am unashamedly
somewhere
in
Nicolas
love.
Cage is giving me a very smirky smirk and a thumbs up to you for being compared to Keanu. Wow.
I am unashamedly in love with Nicolas Cage. I don't care how crazy his role is. I don't care how batshit insane he is in the role. I am all in on Nicolas Cage. There are no words. I'm literally I can't speak enough. I can't heap enough praise on how much I love Nicolas Cage. Everything he does, because he's one of the few people who throws himself into every role.
Someone has given Pete the truth serum today. I'm excited to see where this goes. We've already got a good revelation.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so this isn't about Nicolas Cage. I could talk about him forever.
That might be a podcast. I'm so excited.
Oh my God. If we could get Nicolas Cage to come on this podcast, my life would be complete. Honestly, I would be so happy.
Mr. Cage, please complete Pete's life.
Oh my God. Films and Stuff starring Nicolas Cage for guest starring Nicolas Cage. Oh my God.
All right. So you've got to see this.
Anyway,
what is your take on the Matrix Resurrections, a love story rom-com?
Yeah. It is not what I was expecting, not in a bad way or a good way.
Okay.
So the first movie I had 0 expectations going into the first movie.
Okay.
Because if I remember correctly, the marketing material or the marketing tag for Matrix 1 was, "What is the Matrix?" Super simple, and it hooked you because you were all like, "Well, what is the Matrix?" And you don't know, and we have no idea, so I have to watch this movie just so that I can answer that damn question, right? And this is before the days of a prevalent internet where, you were basically, if you had internet access, it was no Wikipedia. You didn't have access to the Hollywood insiders. You know, if you were a fan of the movies, you knew about the movies from trades and by going to the movies. That's it. So I was super keen. I watched the movie, had to watch it a second time to really wrap my head around it. Loved it, right? In this case, in Matrix, it was a game changer. Honestly, I think it was a game changer. In terms of cinematography, I mean, how many movies have emulated slow motion bullet time since, right? So, and in terms of, anyway, so that's irrelevant. So in this case, with Matrix 4, I had a relatively same feeling of what is this movie going to be about, because at the end of Matrix 1, the story was over, but it left the door open. And if not the door, at least a window open, so that you could see potential sequels, because this is, again, also back in the day, just before the dawn of Hollywood saying every movie has to be a franchise movie, right? So let's lay the seeds to the sequels or the prequels or whatever. Nowadays, I think, every Hollywood executive is thinking, how do we make any story a franchise, right? And I'm not a fan of that.
Yep, sure.
I think that really cost the industry a lot of originality, or at least good stories. So, but the end of Matrix 1 was, even though it may not have been a definitive ending, it was an ending that closed the door, but left a window open, let's say, for that. If you wanted to come back, you could. And they did for the sequels 2 and 3, which not a huge fan of, but again, at the end of 3, definitive ending. Neo dies. Trinity dies. Everyone we know and love dies. And more importantly, it was one of the few movies or franchises that took the alternative media as canon, right? So there was the Animatrix, the animated TV, not TV show, but like they did these animated shorts based on the Matrix. Those were part of the movie and the series, and they were canon to the franchise. And they also had 2 video games, if I remember correctly. And in one of those video games, Morpheus dies, right? Which is, I think, one of the reasons why you don't see Lawrence Fishburne come back in this movie, right? Because even though the character of Morpheus comes back, and okay, by the way, spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
Too late, my friend.
Right?
Morpheus dies. Yeah.
No. I mean, he comes back in this movie, right?
Yeah.
So you see in the trailers that all these guys are
back. But it's not Lawrence Fishburne.
Exactly. So you see that all these guys are back. What you don't understand, and this is where you get intrigued as to, instead of what is the Matrix, now I'm thinking, why or how is the Matrix? Because at the end of the 3rd movie, it was like everyone we know and love is dead. How are these guys back? And why are these guys back? And that's where you explore this movie, right? And that's the exploration of this movie. I gotta say, it's a bit weak sauce in terms of why they're back. It seems more like a convenient explanation just so that they could make the 4th movie. But I must say that in terms of what I was expecting, so I would say, and maybe you'll agree, The Matrix 1 was like, if you're going to define it as a genre, it was like an action movie.
Yeah. Right? It was a sci-fi action movie, yes.
Sci-fi action movie, right?
It was based, it was based on the action sequences,
Right, or at least based around those set pieces, right? Right. So, and they built what at the time seemed like a relatively flimsy story, but in terms of concept was phenomenal around those action sequences, right? Then this case, though, in Matrix 4, I actually don't think of it as an action movie at all, even though there is action. There's loads of kung fu.
It's a love story.
I think it's a love story. I think it's an action romance movie instead of an action. You know how we see action comedy, right? Like our best favorite, Red Notice. Yeah. Where you see romantic comedies, like, I don't know, anything Matthew McConaughey was doing before he became a dramatic actor, right? This, I think, is one of those rare hybrids action love stories or an action romance movie, because it's unlike anything I've seen that way, which is to say that it's really a story about Neo and Trinity and why they're together or why they have to be together.
I mean, is this just one big pandering to Matrix fans.
Yeah, so there were times where it certainly felt that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Because a lot of the movies are like you see a lot of the Matrix 1 in
yeah,
the Matrix 4,
yeah,
right? Like they show a lot of
yeah,
flashbacks and things like that.
yeah. So I mean, I think the first thing that we have to acknowledge for this movie, and I think you're right, which is this is not a disaster. I mean, sometimes we've seen things come back. Let's say like Bad Boys 4, for example, right? And they're just really kind of like train wrecks because so much time has lapsed, and it's a sequel in name only, and it's just a bad movie. This is not that. To be honest, it's not a terrible movie. There's actually some quite compelling pieces, and if this were a standalone movie,
Yeah.
Irrespective of a storyline that kind of jumps from here to there, it's actually not such a bad movie. I mean, I probably wouldn't have picked, a couple in their midlife
50s.
yeah, to center on the love story and action, but honestly, it's a pretty good movie.
It reminded me a little bit of, in terms of conceptually, it's a little bit like of Hancock with Cameron Diaz and Will Smith.
Yeah, it is.
In the sense
Jason
that,
Bateman. Yeah.
And Bateman was in there, exactly. In the sense that it's about these two powerful people who end up finding each other and always being drawn to each other, right?
Yeah.
And in this case, it's Trinity and Neo who are drawn to each other and kind of have to be in order for the Matrix to be the most efficient Matrix that it can be.
But I mean, that's
right?
That's
or at least that's the draw of the reason, right? Or that's the premise of the movie anyway.
But we've just spent 18, right, since 2000, what was the original? 2003?
I think the original was 99, and then the sequels came out in like 2002 and 3 or something like that.
So we've spent since 2009 or 1999, understanding that Keanu is maybe or maybe not the one. Now it's no longer about the one. Yeah. It was actually that there's
the two.
Two?
Right? Which is, again, and this is, I think, goes to your line, to your sentiment of them pandering a little. This could also just be like, why does the one have to be a dude?
Yeah.
Right? Why does it have to be a white, straight male? And I don't want to get political in this, but, and I think this is more of a Hollywood issue than it is about this movie, because if anything, I'd like to think that the Wachowskis, or at least in this case, I think it's Lana who did the movie, not Lily, but I can't remember, whoever it was. So, after everything she's been through, like, I couldn't accuse her of pandering, right? Because it'd be really weird to accuse her of being a pandering, a director or a writer in this case as well. But in the sense that, I'm not going to comment on what 2 and 3 were in terms of their allegories for their own personal lives, because I am not going through that, and I've not been through that, right? But I'm just talking about the movies being good or bad on the basis of whether I think they were good or bad, and I think 2 and 3 weren't that great.
Yeah, I think that 4 is, Resurrections, again, it's not a bad movie. I think the storyline is, you almost have to just ignore the storyline, to be honest. I don't think the storyline adds anything, unlike the first.
Or the history, at least.
Yeah, I just don't think it adds anything. There were some elements I really liked. I liked Bugs. To be honest, I really liked Bugs.
So, and this is, again, where Bugs, I thought, really made it of the new class. Of the new class of actors, and I think she did a phenomenal job. Jessica Henwick kicked ass in Iron Fist.
Totally agree.
Even though, she was the saving grace of that show.
Yeah.
She's really good, and I'm looking forward to seeing more projects with her, because I think she's very good.
I thought Bugs was great. I thought that Morpheus was fine. I thought he was fine, but again, the fact that he was kind of like Morpheus, I think, ruined it. If he would have been like a totally different character, there's Bugs, and just give him a different name, he probably would have been great. The fact that they kind of made him Agent Smith / Morpheus, I thought gave him a very difficult role to fill. I thought that there was another Agent Smith who looks nothing like the original Agent Smith. Made no sense. So I thought that those two things kind of ruined it, although Bugs was great. Neil Patrick Harris, our good friend Doogie Howser, as the analyst, I thought was actually quite good in the role. But I thought it was a little bit unnecessary. And again, the storyline really didn't make a whole lot of sense where he's just kind of...
that ending sequence, he was vulgar for the sake of being vulgar. Like it didn't, for me, it felt a bit disjointed. It just didn't seem to vibe with, not just, when I think of the Matrix, I think of kick-ass action. I think of really, like, maybe in some cases now, too much CGI. I don't think of them cursing. I don't remember them cursing and being like vulgar. And I feel like his choice of words were a little unnecessary.
I like him. I love him as an actor. And I thought actually he did a very good job with a tough role. Like he had the right gravitas. He had the right kind of like sarcasm and arrogance. But I just didn't think the role kind of like did anything in the storyline. Again, that's a storyline problem. I liked how this started a little bit, with Keanu, back into his fake reality, a computer programmer. I thought that was a very, very clever way to kind of get things reset. But apart from that, I just didn't feel like the story really went anywhere. It wasn't compelling. I wasn't on the edge of my seat in terms of what's next or are they going to achieve it. For me, there's nothing really to achieve. And after you've seen 2 and 3 and you know where 4 is going, I mean, what is success? What is the possible outcome? There's no escape. So I mean, it was just very anticlimactic to me.
In terms of who? Success for who?
What is
the franchise or for those individual characters?
For the individual characters. I mean, I just didn't feel like there was anything that could be gained, right? I mean, they're in the simulation. They're either going to die or not going to die and continue on, right? I mean, there's no reality. So I just didn't see a lot of like a positive outcome like I did from the original Matrix, where you're rooting for someone and you're hoping that they get out, or you're hoping that they, have their freedom. So I was just kind of disappointed with the storyline. I thought that the action sequences, the fight sequences were actually okay. If it would have been a standalone movie. But again, compared to the original Matrix, when you see how fast Neo and Trinity moved, they definitely seem 20 years older in the way that they moved in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I love him, but he felt like he felt like he was like a shambling, like he was just, waddling from A to B. I wish there was a little bit more of the energy that he shows in the John Wick franchise. Like in that movie, you see him kicking ass. And in this movie, you just kind of saw him going from A to B and being like escorted and like a shambling, confused old man. And that's not him.
You said something so interesting that I should have said earlier. He looked like John Wick. I mean, there's no way around it that he looked exactly like John Wick. I mean, Keanu has never had that look. The long hair, the beard that's crawling up his cheekbones, like, except in John Wick. So I mean, there was no, except towards the end when he totally shaved his head. I mean, he was basically John Wick in the Matrix, but like you said, without a lot of energy,
but without any of John Wick's actual
just kind of
powers or abilities.
Hey guys, where am I? Where should I go? Yeah, I'm not going to fit through that mirror. Blah blah blah. Can you still fight? Yeah, I think I still know kung fu. I mean, it just seemed like you said, he was just kind of like, dude, he's not even that old. Like, they just made him kind of into the senior citizen when there's no real reason for it. But then when he had to, then he could still fight off bullets. And it was just, for me, it was just a very half-hearted action movie. And again, if it would have been a standalone movie, I would have been actually pretty happy with it. But compared to all the other Matrix films, it just felt really hollow to me that they were trying to, kind of recreate the same magic. Even like this one scene, I remember the first, maybe it was the second Matrix, where they had the helicopter with this, 50 caliber machine gun, and it would just kept turning out round after round. You saw all the bullet casings fall on the floor.
Yeah,
it was so powerful.
Yeah.
Here they had almost the same scene. It's like they just took the
except now with 2 helicopters.
Yeah, I mean, like, it was just really not that compelling for me. Nothing was new. You could tell that he wasn't as spry. And his fight sequences, and especially Trinity's fight sequences, God bless her, she looks great, were very, like, the way that they edited them just showed like very short motions. And I just felt like the whole film was trying to recreate this lightning in a bottle, and it wasn't really doing it. And it was still trying to give the original Matrix fans some pandering and some nostalgia, but it wasn't going anywhere. And overall, I was disappointed for that reason.
For me, I think I didn't like how meta the first half of the movie was. They're like, oh, yes, Warner Brothers wants us to make a sequel. Yes. The Matrix 4, blah, blah, blah. And you're just
the brainstorming. What is this all about?
Yeah, so
what's the essence of the
that
Matrix?
part I didn't like, because I thought it was a little too on the nose and be a little too almost comedic for what they're trying to do. Yeah. And when you're a movie or when you have a story that's as historic, as iconic as the first one was.
Yes.
You have a responsibility to kind of maintain that sense of importance, right? And I'm not trying to be like, you're too self-important.
Gravitas.
That's not my point. But like, don't make a joke out of it either, one. But I have to say, the moment I recognized that this wasn't an action movie like the first movie or even the second 2 movies, second and third movie, but that it was like really a romance, like a love story, I was all in again, because it played on the nostalgia. As you said, it played out on the nostalgia. And for me, it hit all the right beats on the nostalgia. I like Keanu Reeves. I'm happy to see him in anything. I really like Carrie-Anne Moss. I think they still have the chemistry between the 2 of them. It feels really like, I felt so nice when you see the 2 of them together for the first time, grabbing a coffee. And then I was like, it was like a huge gut punch to realize that she's married and has kids. And I was like, oh my God, what the hell? That twist I didn't see coming. And I don't know if you know this, quick fun trivia, her husband in The Matrix? No. He's actually the director of John Wick.
Oh.
And more importantly, he was Keanu Reeves' stunt double in Matrix 1, 2, and 3.
Huh.
Chad Stahelski or whatever. So when I saw him, I was like, oh, wait, I recognize that guy. And I recognized him from the PR for all of the John Wick movies.
Oh, good trivia. Good trivia, dude.
So that moment I really liked. I'm not a huge fan of the new cast except for Bugs.
Bugs.
I thought she was exceptional. I think her fight scenes and choreography, again, phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think, and now,
I mean, to be honest, none of the, apart from the new kind of Morpheus, there was really, all the other folks that they had, like, who entered the Matrix didn't really get a lot of
screen time,
clarification. Yeah. Like, I mean, you can look at IMDb and you can read who the people are and kind of see, but
in terms of characters, hardly any importance.
Yeah, like who was the lady who had like kind of the hair plastered against her face and some funky sunglasses? Who was that?
I don't know.
I don't know. They even mentioned her name in
the first movie when you meet the crew of. Know who everyone is. Everyone has a role and everyone's important, and they carry that role on even after they die.
Yeah.
Right? You get introduced to Dozer, you get introduced to Cypher, all of them. You get to meet them and you know who they are. And they're not instrumental, but they're important people. Right? Here, I think they were an afterthought, except for Bugs and Morpheus through, the revelation that now even programs could leave the Matrix and come out into the real world. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of Priyanka Chopra Jonas as Sati. I just didn't. I wasn't. Again, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know why. I just didn't like it. I didn't like most of the new cast. I really think of all of the new cast, I really only liked Bugs. Jessica Henwick, I think did a great job.
Bugs. What about Neil Patrick Harris? Is he
Fine, fine. I didn't have any problem with him. I think I'm neutral on him. I'm neutral on the new Mr. Smith.
Yeah.
Merovingian coming back, I thought was funny,
Yeah.
but not in a very cheesy, funny way. I thought it was nice that he came back, but again, it added another. I think they brought him in just for the sake of having another fight scene.
Yeah.
But and this fight scene wasn't anywhere near as good as the one from Matrix 2 and 3, so I didn't see the need for him.
I agree. I mean, maybe that's part of the strange thing here which is it's either a new cast or it's an old cast, but they kind of like cherry picked who's going to be in, right? I mean, the absence of Lawrence Fishburne, I thought was like really stark when they bring in Jada Pinkett Smith, when they bring in, like all the other folks. Like it just seems strange. There's no old Agent Smith, but they still gave him the same name. He's just kind of like gone into another like young dude, right? So
on that, I read earlier today that they had actually written him in. The article heavily implied that he didn't want to come back. Hugo Weaving for Agent Smith.
who? Lawrence Fishburne?
And I don't know. So I don't know about Lawrence Fishburne. I don't know why. Why not?
I mean, it's there's something to be said. I mean, and I can't speak to kind of the mindset of someone who's got an iconic role like this, but I also see it from the fact that they also quit while they're ahead. Kind of like a great sports athlete that you see like retire at the top of their game. We'll always remember Lawrence Fishburne for how he looked and acted
that's true.
and played that Morpheus
That's
role.
true.
Same thing with Agent Smith.
That's 100%.
Now to kind of...
I will say you're absolutely right, because when I think of Neo now, or even to a lesser extent Trinity now, I'm not going to think of them in their cool, flowing leather and latex outfits and overcoats. That's not what I'm going to think of them. I'm now going to be almost marred. I don't want to say that because it sounds very negative, and I don't mean to, but the reality is when I think of them now, I'm going to think of them as these almost like these old doddering grandparents. You know what I mean?
I mean, image matters. In this industry, it matters more than anything. And I guess I'm a little bit, I love Carrie Ann Moss. She's an amazing Trinity. No one ever could have played this iconic character but her. And I heard her say something. She's like, I am Trinity. And I hear her. This is her role, her life. Of course she comes back. But Keanu, who's always made this name for himself in Hollywood as the, hey guys, I don't really care about money. I don't care about fame. Right? Of all the people to come back, he's already got, it's not like he's been out of work for 10 years. He's got John Wick, right? I mean, he's got his own stuff that he didn't need to come back and play kind of the, like you said, kind of the confused Uncle Neo. He could have just left this. And it's so hard to look at him in the original Matrix where he was this young, clean shaven, perfect,
super
skin,
handsome,
short
super
crop,
fit,
hair, leather jacket. And now look at him where he's wearing like a cardigan and drinking a latte. I mean, they have this scene where apparently wasn't real, where, they came into like the office and started shooting things up. You see him kind of crawling on the floor, having a panic attack. Like, come on. Doesn't he have any creative control and say, guys, you know what? I just kind of want to be a strong guy again. Like, I'm not really comfortable crawling on the floor, having a panic attack, rubbing my hands against my legs because I can't figure out what's...
I think the Keanu Reeves of this age, I'm going to think of as John Wick, not as Neo. Yeah. Whereas the Keanu Reeves of...
And he looked like John Wick. It would have been different if he would have had shorter hair with gray frosted tips. But he had to keep the same hair as John Wick.
I think that
it's
comes,
hard.
like every character or every actor, you know them from, or like
Yeah.
through their ages, right? Like for Keanu Reeves, I think
Yeah.
like I'll always think of him at his youngest. I'll always think of him as Ted from Bill and Ted,
Bill and Ted.
right?
Yeah.
Or as whatever I can't even remember the kid's name in Point Break. The hippie-esque
Yeah.
surfer-loving dude, right?
Dakota something.
Exactly.
Am I right?
Exactly.
Is
I'm
it
pretty
Dakota?
sure it was some state. I'm pretty sure it was a state or a city of some kind. And then like his
Yeah.
early 20s to early 30s, I'll always remember him as Neo. And now in the early 40s, late
Yeah.
40s, early 50s, I'll think of him
Yeah.
as John Wick. I don't want to think of him as Neo. I think that's his defining character of
Yeah.
of this generation. So, which is why I think for me there's a little bit of like cognitive dissonance to see him as like this doddering man who's confused, because I see him as John Wick, who is the exact opposite of a doddering old man who's confused, right? He's kicking ass left, right, and center. Oh, I'm out of bullets? No problem. I'll use a pencil. Oh, I don't have a pencil? No problem. I'll use my thumbs. You know what I mean? Like he's always got a weapon on him.
Pete, does he have an obligation to the franchise, to his fans, to say, look, guys, 3 was more than enough. Like, if you want to kind of continue this on, just reboot it with Bugs and someone else, or do a prequel or something. Like, look, it's not for me anymore. Or does he not have any obligation, and we're just, being too emotional about it and being too sentimental? And he says, look, guys, like, life moves on. If you can't handle me with like a beard and hair and, older, like that's your problem.
I think it's a little bit of that. And I think what we're not taking into account is that, Lana wrote this movie and probably only agreed to do it if Keanu and Carrie-Anne Moss came back, right? I think so. From what I read, again, she wrote this movie after I think one of her parents passed away or was very ill. I don't know what the exact story was. And that was like the genesis of the idea of this movie. So like, these movies are clearly very personal to the Wachowski siblings, right? It's very personal to both the sisters. So, and you can tell like there's clearly an emotional element to it. And, frankly speaking, let's also give them a little bit of credit. It remade or revolutionized Keanu's career at the time, and also probably put Carrie-Anne Moss on the map. I don't remember what else she was doing before then.
Carrie-Anne Moss, I think, openly said she had no career until she appeared in Matrix. And then after Matrix, then she got, 2 or 3 other things.
I remember seeing her in Memento, and I was like, oh, I remember her from The
exactly.
Matrix. I don't remember her from, you know what I mean? So in that regard, I don't, and this is maybe being also a little bit cynical to say that it's transactional, but it's not that they owe anything to each other because everyone got out of it. But at the same time, I'd like to think that if I'm a director and, I have a good working relationship with everyone and I really helped them get their start, I would not expect them to do it, but I'd tell them, listen, guys, I want to make this movie and I really think it's important you come back. So have a serious look at it. And so it's a little bit of like, okay, well, I'll do this for you, Lana. You know what I mean? It's similar to what happened with, I think, Chad Stahelski and John Wick, to say that, look, I really want to make this movie. I was your stunt double. And there was a lot of Keanu who said, okay, I'm going to do this because I worked with you in these 3 movies. You really worked well with me. So let's do it. I'll give it a shot. There was a little bit of saying, all right, I'll do this as a favor to you. And it's, it's obviously not that simple, but I'm just saying it. I'm sure there's that element to it as well, right?
Think of a sequel that we have not had because the actor has been so hesitant to reprise their role. I would think of anything with Harrison Ford, although he did come back in Star Wars, but
in Star Wars,
Will Smith
in Independence Day, he didn't want to come back.
I would also say
he didn't want to come back, and I'm glad
Harrison Ford in Indiana Jones, right? He never wanted to pick up that mantle again.
Although now it seems like everything he's doing is a sequel of some kind.
Yeah.
Star Wars, Indy 5. I mean, okay, whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, it's I see it being a double-edged sword where it's easy for us to be the armchair quarterback and say you should do the sequel, you shouldn't do the sequel, but I mean, I'm
Yeah, of
still a
course.
little bit surprised. Keanu, whose star burns bright, who's always been, the Hollywood, like, I'm not in it for the money, I don't really like fame, would come back into this role after so many years. I mean, I have to say, I think this is absolutely going to be the last Matrix, unless they're going to entirely steer away from this reboot. And
So that's the
Yeah.
thing is, I don't think it is. I think what they're going to do is, I think that this is why they introduced you
to Bugs.
Io and to Bugs and to this new Morpheus. I have a sneaking suspicion that this was their attempt at, let's say,
So this is a transition piece.
renewing the franchise in people's minds. Having said that, critically, I don't know if this movie is doing very well or not. I know box office wise it's getting creamed. Spider-Man is killing it. It just crossed $1 billion a couple days ago. So, in that sense, I don't see it doing as well as maybe they had hoped. Having said that, is there...
I mean, but that's not surprising as well, just for the reasons we spoke about, which is forget all the complications worldwide about going to a cinema. Okay, you can watch it or stream or something, but I mean, it's not a true action movie.
Yeah.
It's a reboot with the title characters significantly older, and it turned into a little bit of a love story. So I mean, it used to be a dude geek movie, and now it's turned into something a little bit softer. So I can understand.
A little softer.
I can understand.
It's mellowed a little bit. So I think this is a good opportunity for them to do something a little smaller in scale.
Yeah.
And to take Bugs into a new direction, because I really think,
Yeah.
honestly, my
Bugs could carry
I would
it.
go so far as to say that she carried the film in terms of she saved anything that happened that was exciting. I think the impetus was Bugs.
Yeah, I agree. I'm actually with you, even though I'm not clear about the story. I have to say, I think the story holds us back a little bit. But if it was Bugs versus the machines, I would watch the Bugs movie.
Yeah, and maybe we see that, maybe we don't. I don't know, but I think Jessica Henwick did such a good job. Maybe if, upon further reflection, if the guy who played Morpheus, something Mateen II, if he were playing someone who was not Morpheus, maybe. But at the moment, if I have to compare him to Lawrence Fishburne, I mean, it's, for me, hands down, no question, Lawrence Fishburne is the best.
Yeah, I think that's a tough role for him. I mean, I thought that he played his role very well, but I think that to have anyone come in, Morpheus, Agent Smith, I think is super, super tough. You're really dealing them a bad hand from the beginning.
Yeah, I'd rather, in that case, I think it would have been better to say, look, we're gonna create new characters and just leave it at that, because theoretically, Morpheus is dead in the universe, and theoretically, Agent Smith died. His virus got deleted at the end of the third one as well. So why bring him back at all? If you want to create a generic virus, why not Mr. Jones, right? Or Mr. Doe, something like that.
But Pete, where do we go from here? Is this not just Terminator now? Is it not just Bugs?
That's what I don't want it to be. I'm very afraid that's what they're going to do it, where they're just going to every couple of years try to do another revision of the franchise. And I'm for as much as I love Terminator 1 and 2, everything after that has for me outright ruined the franchise's history. I can't think of the Terminator, and I don't want to think of the Terminator movies without it sullying all the other, with the first two.
Remind me of 3. Remind me of Terminator 3. Was that with...
Oh my God. I think Terminator 3 was the one with Claire Danes, but I'm not sure. I think that was the one with the first female Terminator. The one who had nanotech.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 3 was not so bad, where they locked themselves into the big bunker, right? The helicopter crashed. And then they turned on the switch.
The big bunker at the end, and actually,
John
exactly.
Snowwick. What was his name? He was a John.
Exactly.
Connor. You can't be a protagonist unless your name's John Wick Snow or
John Connor.
Okay, so he was John Connor. And then 4 was with what was 4? It was with a guy who didn't know that he was a Terminator, right? John Connor was all grown up. He was the Batman dude.
Yeah, and it wasn't even about it wasn't John Connor. It was because John Connor was played by Batman. What's his name? Christian Bale. That was the one where Christian Bale had to freak out on the set.
Yes.
Against the sound engineer.
Correct.
And then 5 was the one where we go back in there. I mean, they all go back in time.
Yeah.
But it was the one with like an alternate history future where John Connor is actually the bad guy and also a robot or something like that. It became such a mess.
5 is when Sarah Connor came back, right?
Yes. Played by Game of Thrones dragon lady. Emilia Clarke?
No, I thought. Oh, you're right. And then there was a 6 with the original.
Something. That's what I'm saying. And then 6 was. You see what I mean?
Yeah, and even Schwarzenegger was back in 6, and like
all just a terrible mess. A really terrible mess. They tried to do like a multiverse.
Maybe they should hire. Maybe they should hire that.
MCU guys. Exactly. I'm not very pleased.
I mean, again, it's. Are we taking it too? I feel like we're taking it personally, but I mean, I do take it personal, which is Terminator should have stopped at 2, maybe 3, and then it got super.
I take it personally only because these were the shows or the movies that also kind of defined our coming of age stories, right? Like these were the movies that we all loved watching again and again, renting the movies from Blockbuster on VHS before there was Netflix. You know what I mean? Yeah. So these are the ones that we wanted to see time and time immemorial. And so the problem with the franchise, the model was that if the sequels were bad, you can't help but and there are so many of them, it kind of the stink of all the bad sequels permeates throughout the entire franchise, no matter how good one movie is, right? If it wasn't Creed, the same problem, you'd have had the same problem with the Rockies. If it wasn't for the fact that the last ones with Michael B. Jordan were so good.
I mean, you've said something which is absolutely right, which is it's not so much that we're doped into watching a franchise that continued on too long. It's that the sequels were so bad. Maybe I'd be okay with a Terminator 4, 5, 6 if they would have made 4, 5, and 6 much better. I'd probably be just
If they were good,
I think
why not?
Angry only retrospectively saying, I loved 1 and 2 so much. 3 was okay, and then you decided to just go all wacky, and it's diminished not only my like of 1 and 2. But it wasted my time and my money, and I'm really upset about how you've screwed things up in my head. But had 4, 5, and 6 been really great, I mean, there is a war against the machines. I mean, it could have been super cool, right?
Yeah. Look at Rambo. Same thing happened to Rambo. It went totally off the rails and absurdly off the rails. I think for me the closest the closest analogy I can think of would be in terms of gaming is the Halo franchise. So the first trilogy, phenomenal. They made 4, 5, and then they made 4, 5, and they just released 6 a couple weeks ago. Yeah. 4 was okay, 5 was pretty bad, but then 6 came back and killed it. So you don't mind that they're continuing, even though that the first trilogy was probably the best. You don't mind that they make so many of them and continue making them, and you're going to see them make it for as long as we hope to see them, because each iteration that comes out is either passable or very good, right? And if Terminator 4, 5, and 6 were either passable or very good and not nonsensical, I would have been fine. But my God, it's so off the rails.
So we've got Resurrections, right, which is 4. We think there's going to be a 5 and a 6. Give me a franchise that right now we could come up with, or we think that it deserves, to be continued in it, and it has not yet.
Oh my God. What's a good franchise that deserves to?
I mean, what have we seen that there's only been one?
That's the problem. Everything now is a franchise, and everything's fair game for either being made a sequel to or a reboot of.
I mean, if we look back a few years, remember there was the movie Salt
with Angelina Jolie.
Angela,
yeah.
Yep.
I don't remember it,
Never
but I think I saw it.
Yeah. Yep. There was Wanted, also with Angelina Jolie.
I didn't mind Wanted.
Never went
That's
forward.
right. Based on a graphic novel.
Yeah. Neither of those two got sequels. And to be honest, I thought Salt absolutely could have used one. We never got anything. We had White House Down. I guess we had like some sequels to that.
Oh, there was that was a trilogy, right?
It was. There was like 3. There was London Down and something else down.
Olympus Has Fallen or something like that.
Olympus Has Fallen, yeah.
What else is there that deserves a sequel? I don't know if it deserves a sequel, but Greenland seemed like there was going to be a sequel made.
Greenland definitely seemed like there could have been a sequel made. Yeah.
What other
Absolutely right.
alien, or is there an alien disaster-esque movie?
I mean, is there anything else with The Rock that we could have done a sequel with?
My God, he should come back to the Fast and the Furious franchise.
Yeah, he should.
Vin Diesel is begging him to come back for Fast 10 and 11, and I hope he does.
Is that true?
I hope he does.
I have to say, I feel like Fast has also a little bit outlived its usefulness, though, only because there's only 2 more. So it's gotten so audacious in its.
Where are they going to go next?
Yeah.
They've already been to space.
I mean, it's
what else is next?
It's just gotten so audacious, and that also a little bit means itself that it's hard to take it seriously when it's also been memeing itself a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's see.
I think they're going to somehow drive so fast they're going to go back in time. That's the next thing.
I like it.
This is the only thing left. They've done space. Yeah. They've destroyed a submarine.
Yep.
They've destroyed a fighter jet. They've raced against a cargo jet on the world's longest runway.
They've brought a few people back from the dead. What else? They've gone into space. What else is left? I think the only thing left is time. That's the last dimension is time, right? The 4th dimension. Maybe it'll be a Christopher Nolan film.
Oh my God. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if this was all a part of the Inception universe?
Why is there not a second Inception? There's a good one.
Yeah, I think the good thing, what I really like about Christopher Nolan is outside of the franchise movie like the Batman series, his stories are all individual, one-off stories that don't require it.
I mean, there could be a second
There
Tenet.
could very well
There
be
could
a
be
second Tenet.
I wouldn't mind that at all.
There could very well be a second Tenet, but my God, I hope not, because I still don't understand it.
I mean, that needs, to understand Tenet, you should go to the cinema with a whiteboard and 2 markers, a red and a green,
and a professor of physics. Honestly, I think.
But that could be another one.
Well, and I mean, if you're looking at Christopher Nolan movies, one of my favorite was Memento. I thought that was phenomenal.
So I mean, there are some franchises out there that we could that we could extend. I mean, we haven't seen Top Gun 2 yet. Top Gun 2, I mean, they missed it by years. But I mean, there could have been a Top Gun 3, 4, 5, right? But I like I like what they've done with Tom Cruise now an instructor,
theoretically
bringing back Goose's kid, this guy from Whiplash. I mean, that's. Yeah, Miles Teller. I mean, I think that's very good.
Miles
I'm really
Teller.
disappointed that it's taking so long, to get this out there. But I think that would be. I'm really excited for Top Gun 2, and I think depending on how it plays out, there could probably be a 3. Miles Teller could probably, carry it, just like Louis Gossett Jr. did in Iron Eagle.
Yeah, maybe. May very well be. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we went on a big tangent, but it all came out from Matrix Resurrections, which overall we have some fond feelings for, with some criticisms, but overall I think we've got a lot of respect for it. I think, Pete, you liked it. way more than I did, probably because you understand the plot and you respect the storyline more than I did. And I think that
I tell you, I think 50% of why I liked it more than you did is probably got to do with Keanu Reeves and I almost said John Wick there. Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss.
Yeah.
Honestly, I just think the two of them are perfect.
But tell me this: at the end, okay, they go in, they see the analysts, they say, "Hey, we're out of here." What do they mean?
Well, that's the question. I hope they don't make any more, because if they make a 5 and 6, I'm sure they'll do the same thing that they did for 2 and 3.
But
the ending of this was very much in parallel to the ending of 1, which is to say, hey, we're in the system now, and we understand it better than you think we do. So watch out.
But what does that mean? I mean, are they alive in real life?
I think so, but I mean, what do I know?
But they're 60 years older, right?
No, so that's part of the thing I didn't understand. Apparently, they were kept in some kind of stasis, which allowed them to not age, or to not age as much.
Even though Jada Pinkett Smith did.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Okay, so Niobe did. So fine, they're 60 years older, but they're really humans. Let's assume they didn't die, right? Or somehow they were brought back to life. So they're actually in, quote unquote, the real world. But the real world is still controlled by machines. So what are they going to do? They're just going to pick up guns. They're going to start fighting machines. So like I said, it goes back to Terminator, right?
This is why I think this is why I hope they don't make any more. I think this is very good parallel to the ending of the first movie, which is to say we've broken out of the machine and we understand how it works now.
I feel like they would be happier if they would go back into the Matrix and say, hey, we're in love. Why don't we just go back into this, computer-generated world, and let's go have our lattes and ride motorcycles and be computer programmers, and let's just have this total ignorance and live together in love, right?
Because it's about choice, buddy, and they choose to be free, or at least that's what they say.
Until they die, and then what?
And then they die.
It's complicated, but that's for another day. Okay, what is, Pete, on the agenda for our next episode? Are we going to say Don't Look Up?
I think we should look at Don't Look Up, and hopefully by then you have probably finished the season 1 of Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time.
And then we can talk about both of those in the same episode.
All right, I'm in. Pete, until next time.
It's been a pleasure.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.